Good evening. Who would have ever thought that schools and businesses will have to shut down in the United States due to a pandemic in the year of 2020? Hi, my name is Tamaya Hurd, and I am a student at Albany State University. News sources have stated that the spike in the COVID 19 cases are at an all time high within the United States. During the month of April, the cases per day were at 20,000 cases reported. Now, in the month of July, the cases are 40,000 per case, 40,000 cases per day. The coronavirus is a virus, according to hopkinsmedicine.org. The coronavirus is a virus that affects the respiratory system. Researchers have stated that the spread of this disease is caused by droplets released in the air by coughing or sneezing. Some symptoms of this disease are coughing, sneezing, shortness of breath, running a fever, and headaches and fatigue or a loss of taste and smell. If you are exposed to this disease, you are required to go in a 14-day incubation period where you can't be around any friends, family. You need to be alone so you won't be able to spread the disease. At the beginning of March, COVID 19 was spreading at a rapid rate, which resulted in schools being closed down immediately. In this speech, I am going to explain why students should not return to school while the COVID pandemic is going on. I believe that students should not return to school because of a fear of outbreak. Social distancing will be difficult, and to keep the people at risk safe. The first reason I want to talk to you about is the possibility of an outbreak when we return to school. The U.S. is experiencing something that most people have not experienced in their life. Pandemics are very rare, and I cannot remember a time in my 26 years of living and having a pandemic. Schools were shut down immediately due to the spread because they didn't want the children to get infected, and then it spread around all the schools. Then the teachers would have to be out, and then substitutes would come in and get infected. They would have to be out, and then nobody would be there to teach the kids, or students possibly could not be there. Businesses has closed down, and they were at the unemployment rates were at an all-time high. And according to the PewResearch.org, the unemployment rate before the pandemic was 3.8% in February. In May, it increased to 13.0%. And then in April, it reached at 14.4%. That is the greatest unemployment rate that we have seen since the Great Recession. The stock market has almost crashed. Now, the next point I would like to make is that social distancing will be difficult. There are too many students in one classroom. I currently work at a school, and right now we have 20 to 30 kids per classroom because we have a teacher shortage. Teacher shortages are more common now, and if we were allowed to go back to school, we will not have enough teachers to have 10 or less kids in a class. It would be difficult to get them spread it out in their desks, keeping their desks clean every day, making sure they wash their hands every day, and it would just be too much on the teacher. Transportation to and from school would be difficult. Bus routes will only have to have a certain amount of students on the buses, and if parents are not able to take their kids because they have to be at work earlier, then some kids might not be able to come to school on time. And bus drivers will have to get up at around 4 or 5 just to get everybody to school on time. Class changes will be difficult at the high school and middle school because they will come in contact with each other. Even if they go in the same way, they will still be having contact with each other. Sporting events will be difficult. Some contact sports, football, basketball, sweating, you will be in contact with people, and they would like us to social distance at least 6 feet apart. That is totally out of the question if we are participating in sporting events. Lunchtime, oh, well, students could take their lunches back to class, but then again, there are more than 20 to 30 kids in each classroom. Students will have less interactive time with each other, and wearing face masks will be a disruption in the classroom. Kids in elementary school, for example, my child who is going to first grade barely wears his mask now because he's saying it's too hot or he can't breathe, and he's 6 years old. And I know that kindergarten and pre-K students, it's impossible for them to wear their mask all day, every day. And even in the middle and high school, it's going to be a bit distraction because they'll worry about what's on the mask and keep taking the mask off. The teacher have to constantly get on them about their mask, and it just will be very difficult. School systems should provide an online option for at-risk students or vulnerable students. Some students have asthma, and as I stated earlier, the coronavirus affects your lungs, and so if they have asthma, it will make that a lot worse. My final point I would like to make is if we do the online option or students or people don't go back to school, we will be keeping the vulnerable people who work at the schools or the students who attend school, we will be keeping them safe. There are students and staff with other health issues, as I just stated. Again, they have asthma, some have diabetes, and some have heart conditions. We can keep them safe by just staying at home and doing school online. Students living with older parents or younger siblings. I have a newborn, and there are some of my students who stay with their older grandparents who have previous health issues and or just older and cannot afford to get the virus because it will make them weak. In conclusion, researchers and doctors have a clear plan on how to prevent COVID-19. Until they have a plan to prevent the COVID-19, we should remain sheltered in place. That means no vacation, no going out to eat, and no schooling. Parents should consider the facts that I have spoken and complete the survey that the school systems have available. School systems have provided many surveys that parents can vote on if they will allow their children to go back to school or if they will prefer an online option. Remember, it is unwise for school system at this time due to the unknowns of COVID-19 to attend school. We don't know if it will disappear. We don't know if it will spread, if it will get worse by the starting of school. During the shutdown, schools have provided meals, internet access, and schoolwork packages and other resources to make sure students are successful in the school year. I think that this should continue until we find a cure or a treatment for the coronavirus. Some schools have already stated that they will shut down during the Thanksgiving break. During the peak, they are predicting a peak in the coronavirus, and flu during that season. So instead of risking it now, we should just wait until next school year. I have explained how opening school will cause an outbreak, how it'll be difficult to continue social distancing in a school setting, and we will be putting the defenseless people in our lives at risk. Let's make a wise decision until we find out the true cause and prevention methods in place to stop this virus. Thank you.